Hello everyone, my name is Kazuma Takase. Hello everyone, my name is Kazuma Takase, and this is my final presentation for race and ethnicity. Every day, millions of hashtags trend on social media, and by the next morning, most of the hashtags of them are gone. People get angry online, they post, they share, and they move on. But in 2013, one hashtag did something different. Hashtag Black Lives Matter didn't disappear, and it became one of the most influential political movements of the 21st century. So my question today is simple. Why? Why did this particular hashtag become a lasting movement when so many others just fade away? To answer this, I'm going to use two chapters from Deborah Udrith's book Reckoning, which we read in this course. First, I will tell the story from hashtag in 2013 to the streets of Ferguson in 2014. Then I analyze why it worked using Utrecht's framework. Here's a roadmap. There are three phases to this story. In 2013, a hashtag is born, right after the verdict in the Trayvon Martin case. In 2014, the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri turns online anger into a street movement. And from 2015, that movement becomes a real organization, the Movement for Black Lives, with a structure and a policy platform. My argument is this: social media opens the door, but offline condition builds the house. Online and offline are not competing explanations, they work together. Let's start with 2013. In February 2012, Trayvon Martin, a 70-year-old black high school student, was shot and killed while walking home in Florida. The man who killed him, George Zimmerman, was not even arrested until black community protested for 45 days. Then, in July 2013, the jury found Zimmerman not guilty. According to Udry, what shocked people most was not only the killing itself, it was the fact that justice system legitimized it. During the trial, Trayvon was almost treated as guilty of his own death, and the reaction to the verdict was deeply divided by race. As you can see on the right, a Pew Service found that about 8 in 10 Black Americans were dissatisfied with the verdict, compared to only about 3 in 10 white Americans. That night, an activist named Alicia Garza posted what she called a love letter to Black people on Facebook. Her message was so simple: our lives matter. Her friend Patrice Cancras turned that phrase into a hashtag, and the third organizer, Oprah Tometi, spread it across social media. But here's the important point. At this stage, hashtag Black Lives Matter was still mostly an online reaction. It was not yet movement. What changed that was in Ferguson. On August 9th, 2014 at noon, an 18-year-old named Michael Brown was shot by a police officer, Darren Wilson, on Canfield Drive, a street in his own neighborhood in Ferguson, Missouri. 3 minutes later, at 23, a bystander tweeted a photo of Brown lying on the ground. This is a crucial detail. The first documentation of Ferguson did not come from journalists or from police statements. It came from ordinary people with smartphones, raw, unfiltered, and real times. Brown's body was then left in the street for 4.5 hours. Uri notes that many people, this image echoed the historic horror of light lynching, a black body put on display. The outrage was immediate, and it did not stop. People demonstrated in Ferguson every day for more than 100 days. And then something remarkable happened. Organizers Patrice Kankuras and Daniel Moore created the Black Lives Matter Rides, modeled directly on freedom rides of the 1960s civil rights movement. About 500 people traveled to Ferguson from more than 18 cities. When they went home, they founded BLM chapter, Black Lives Matter chapters in their own communities. This is a move. This is a moment when hashtag became a network of real people in real place. So the question is, why Ferguson? Why did this city, this case, became the catalyst? Udry gives us four answers. And this slide is the heart of my presentation. In the chapter of emergence, Udry identifies four conditions that made Ferguson the place where a moment became a movement. First, recursive trauma. Michael Brown's death was not experienced as one isolated shock, but as a repeating pattern. After Trayvon, there was a Jordan Davis, killed over loud music. Ricky Boyd shot in the park. Ike Garner choked to death on video, saying, "I can't breathe." When Zimmerman was acquitted, people were shocked. When Brown was killed, the feeling was different. It was painfully familiar, and Udry shows that this familiarity actually mobilized people. Many activists had made personal vows. Next time I will act. Ferguson was the next time. Second, a confluence of injustice, racial and economic. A Department of Justice investigation later found that Ferguson's police were systematically targeting black residents with fines and fees, essentially using black poverty as a source of the city's revenue. Would we connect this to Cedric Robinson's concept of racial capitalism? So Ferguson was not just about one shooting. It represented a whole structure of exploitation. Third, what the sociologist Doug McDown calls indigenous organizations. San Luis County already had established local black-led churches and social justice organizations. This is crucial because outrage alone cannot sustain 100 days of protest. Infrastructure can. And fourth, experienced activities came from all over the country, bringing strategy, planning skills, and national networks. Importantly, they came to support local leaders, not to replace them. Now, here's my main point. Look at these four conditions again. Then hashtag provided none of them. Social media spreads the spark. But these four conditions were fuel. That's why I say online and offline explanation are complementary, not competing. Now let's zoom out from the case to the theory. In the introduction of reckoning, Udry asks a bigger question. What do social movements do for democracy itself? She starts with a diagnosis she calls the politics of despair. Look at the numbers on the left. In 1958, 73% of Americans trusted the federal government. By 2019, the number of 17% and 3% of Americans trusted the federal government. At rising inequality, declining trust between students, and a widespread belief that participation changed nothing. And you get democracy when people have stopped believing they can govern themselves. Ulrich's answer is a metaphor on the right. Swearing in forestry, swearing means a controlled ban. You set small fires to clear hazards and renew the forest. Without it, the forest becomes moribund. Ulrich argues that social movements do exactly this for democracy. They are not noise from outside the system. They are kind of a fifth estate, an essential institution that repoliticizes public life when governments become stagnant and unresponsible. This directly challenges a common view. In 2016, President Obama said that once activists get a seat at the table, they should stop yelling. Ulrich argues this misses the point entirely. The value of movement is not just getting to the table. It's reminding an entire polity that ordinary people are the source of democratic power. One more features makes this movement distinctive. Its leadership structure. The movement for Black Lives describes itself as a leaderful, not leaderless. This comes from the tradition of Ella Baker, a civil rights organizer who believed in the wisdom of ordinary people to define their own problems and imagine their own solutions. Many leaders instead of one charismatic figure. There is also strategic logic. The civil rights movement fell into a disarray after Dr. King was assassinated. As one activist Woodley interviews put it, you can kill some of us, but you can't kill all of us. When leadership is diffused, there is no single target that can stop the movement. And this model fits the digital era. At the movement first combining in the Cleveland in 2015, more than 2,000 organizers gathered. There were no keynote speakers. The founders were barely introduced themselves, but to be fair, the workshop agenda was decided by online voting. But to be fair, Udui also shows the trade-off between mobilizations. There is no clear pathway for new people to join. Decentralization has a real cost as well as strengths. So let me return to my opening question. Why did Black Lives Matter become a movement when most hashtags disappear? My answer, based on Udry, social media created a political opportunity, but offline trauma, local organizations, and experienced organizers turned into a movement. Three takeaways. First, hashtag spread grievance, but organizations sustain it. Second, movements are not noise outside democracy. According to Udry, they are how democracy renews itself, like a controlled band that keeps the forest. And third, an open question I'd like to leave you with. Can the leader who models survive between mobilizations? I'm genuinely curious what you think. So these are my references. My main reading was well, the book of Udry's. And thank you very much for listening. I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you.